Hey, good morning, guys, or good afternoon, 6th and 8th period. All right, make sure you open up the warm-ups and go through here. I try to put some labels, but I don't have time in the video to go through each thing. But starting with slide 15, okay, work your way through, and then here's your to-do list. I'm going to go through the chart in just a second, but you're going to push pause on the video and fill in the chart, and then listen to me explain it. But if you owe me any of this stuff, the vocab picture or the questions, right, or any missing work, let's say you're all caught up, your chart's done, you'll work on these ed puzzles. Okay. Yeah. All right. This chart, I gave it to you last week, right, to either have printed and ready, or I gave it to you in class, or you create it in your notebook. So obviously if it's not ready, go get that done. So push pause on the video and fill in what you can see. All right. Now, short version. We will elaborate on this in class. Notice how I put a big line here. On the left is prokaryotic, on the right is eukaryotic. Okay, we reminded ourselves what that means at the top. But some of these things, just knowing that, I know that over here, no, they don't have a nucleus. All these guys do. And you can see I picked different colors to help me think about it. And the color doesn't always show up well on my screen. But like plants, I picked green. Go figure. These guys, I picked red. Think like fire, hot, and they'll make sense in a second. But we'll start with the ones you know, like plants and animals. Okay, if you can see it with your eyes, you know it's big enough to be multicellular. All right, so these two, and even like a fungus, like a mushroom, you can see it. So you know those got to be multicellular. These guys, you know, are tiny. They're so tiny and primitive, they don't have a nucleus, right? That makes sense. So all of these word parts, we worked our way through. Okay, so these shouldn't be scary at this point. These are things that we worked our way through on different levels. Okay, so we got nucleus, we got, is it uni or multi? As far as reproduction, okay, these are too small to have mommy and daddy bacteria. They just are its, and they double everything and they split in two. It's called binary fission. Over here, it just depends. And you've got to kind of think a little bit differently, like with plants. This is not what you think. Like right now, we are in the middle of oak pollen season. That is the tree sending its male cells to go find the female cells to make more trees. That is what is in the air right now. Okay, so obviously about animals. With fungi, right, it just depends on that particular fungus, right? With these things, okay, plants, you know, they're photosynthetic, good job them, they can make their own food. We know we can't, neither can fungus. These little protistas, notice that they don't really fit a pattern. This is like the island of misfit toys. They're kind of the everything else that didn't fit into one of the other categories. Okay, so it's kind of like the etc. Like the everything else category is the protistas. Right? And the protista and the fungi and then the bacteria, you're going to watch some ed puzzles on that will help this make more sense. You'll have this ready for you. But as far as this stuff goes, when you think bacteria, that's this bacteria. This is like typical bacteria. I know this is confusing to both start with you, but that's just because it means true. This just means true bacteria. Like legit, what comes to mind when you think bacteria is these guys. Okay, so their stuff makes sense, but as far as their examples, stuff that you would have encountered in your everyday life, like if you've ever had strep throat, that's this one. Okay, and so you just call it strep throat because that's what we call it, or group A strep, but the full name actually has two names, but the first name is this, and we know that it looks like a little sphere because of the name. All right, so some are spheres, some are rods, think like a Mike and Ike or a hot tamale candy, look like that. Okay, and then some are spirals. And once you know more about bacteria, a lot of their names, you can tell what shape they are by their name. Okay? Or if you ever had food poisoning, it's probably this E. coli. You have it in your intestines and it's good there, but it doesn't need to be anywhere else. So maybe you've had a lettuce or a spinach recall, like, hey, you went to Chipotle, but there wasn't any lettuce in your burrito or your bowl because it didn't get cleaned off properly and someone ate it and it made them sick because your body's like, nope, you don't belong here in this half, so get out. And it's not really pleasant for it to get out. Or maybe in the kitchen, you know, mom's really on you when you handle chicken to make sure you clean everything because that's because of salmonella, which is another bacteria. But some bacteria are good, right? When you look on the side of yogurt or if you take a probiotic, you may see this one starting for the typo. Okay, this is the good one that helps you, you know, make different vitamins in your intestines. Okay, but over here, okay, these guys are cool. All right, first their name means old or primitive. Right, so like if you want to be an archaeologist when you were little, like Indiana Jones, it means primitive. So these are, very simple life form. Thank you. But they're known as extremophiles. All right, you see the word extreme. Phile means love. Like Philadelphia is the city of brotherly love, or philios. Okay, so this means they love extreme. So think like adrenaline junkies of bacteria. Okay, so with these guys, it just depends. Okay, you're like, but Otto, I thought that was just plants, right? Well, these guys, they love crazy environments like the ocean floor vents. There is no sunshine at the ocean floor vent, but they use the chemicals there to do a process like photosynthesis. It's with chemicals instead of light. Okay? Same thing, they just split off and make two identical clones, which is fast and easy, but then everybody's like, I was there one cell big, no nucleus, but with these guys, remember they're extremophiles. Okay, so they're broken up into three groups. So see the file, right? Of course, this one's going to have a different name because, of course, it will. But therm, we know that word part, it means heat. So these guys love heat. So that, like that deep the deep ocean vents where that magma's coming up, they love it. Halophiles, not the video game. This means like halite, salt. So these guys like near geysers or like the Dead Sea with all the salt in it, places that normal life cannot live, it's uninhabitable, they love it, right? The last one, you see the beginning and you see methane gas. You make methane gas. Everybody does. But especially like cows, because they have multiple stomachs. They're called ruminants because they chew on it like a cow chewing cud. Or think a swamp or a bog, right? There's a lot of that gas trap because think like when dinosaurs died and formed fossil fuels, that gas gets trapped from the decomposition. So these bacteria, these archaebacteria, you're not going to see them in your day-to-day life because they don't live where it's hospitable for you and I. You're going to find them in these crazy places. So they're the ones we're still learning probably the most about because who would have thought to look there for life? Okay. Now, I realize this was fast. You're going to watch the Ed puzzles, and this will clarify some of the things. And I will take a picture of this and put it up in my science notebook, right? But you can get this filled in. Feel free to add to it as you are watching your Ed puzzles, and even things down here, whatever examples I put kind of depend on the class and like the discussions we're making, you feel free to swap in other ones or put more. Like there's no harm in putting more examples, like as you come across them in the videos or the examples, that's a good idea because the more you have written, the better. Because remember, you can use your science notebook on your assessments. Okay, and whatever questions you have, you can send me a message on Classroom today or an email. You can ask me in class next time.